The Coming of the Solar Angels, Living the Science of the Soul. This is the title of our 26th conference given to the fifth ray, and naturally to the solar angels, which are great representatives of both the second and fifth ray. So our task during this conference will be to come en rapport with the fifth ray, distributed by the fifth ray Lord in Shambhala, one of the spirits before the throne of God, in this case, God, the planetary Logos. There are so many different types of spirits before the throne. But these are Shambhalic beings, the ray lords, with which and with whom we will deal at first. So to come en rapport with the energy of the fifth ray, this energy which will be so powerful during the Aquarian age, transmitted as it is by the constellation Aquarius and received by the sign Aquarius, let us allow the old commentary to speak in its ancient symbolic language, which appeals not only to the intellect, but especially to the intuition. Let us learn how the veil of form will be stripped away, revealing the great substantial light from which all form has precipitated, the primordial light from the sea of fire, from which the entire solar system has precipitated. And at the same time, let us, as inquirers of the way, learn not to be deceived by what the senses seem to reveal. Towards me I draw the garment of my God. I see and know his form. I take that garment piece by piece. I know its shape and color, its form and type, its parts component, and its purposes and use. I stand amazed. I see naught else. I penetrate the mysteries of form, but not the mystery. I see the garment of my God. I see naught else. Love of the form is good, but only as that form is known for what it is, the veiling vase of life. Love of the form must never hide the life which has its place behind. The one who brought the form into the light of day and preserves it for his use. The one who lives and loves and serves the form. The one who is. The word goes forth from soul to form. Behind that form I am. Know me. Cherish and know and understand the nature of the veils of life, but know as well the one who lives. Know me. Let not the forms of nature, their processes and powers, prevent thy searching for the mystery which brought the mysteries to thee. Know well the form, but leave it joyously, and search for me. Detach thy thought from form and find me waiting underneath the veils, the many-sided shapes, the glamours and the thought forms which hide my real self. Be not deceived. Find me, know me. Then use the forms, which then will neither veil nor hide the self, but will permit the nature of that self to penetrate the veils of life, revealing all the radiance of God, his power and magnetism, revealing all there is of form, of life, of beauty, and usefulness. The mind reveals the one. The mind can blend and fuse both form and life. Thou art the one. Thou art the form. Thou art the mind. Know this. This will be a quasi-meditative presentation because, you know, there are very few things deeper than the old commentary. And when it comes through and evokes the intuition, we can go very deep into the understanding of these mysteries. It is the fifth ray which has revealed and still far further will reveal to us the hidden energies hidden from our senses, without which we would not have our modern technological civilization. If we have once again begun to approach the technological marvels of ancient Atlantis, hopefully on a higher turn of the spiral and without dire consequences, we owe it largely to the brilliance of the fifth ray Lord and those true occultists who are directly influenced by this great shambolic being. We are transiting from the age of belief, the age of Pisces, into the age of experience, the age of Aquarius, and under the influence of special potencies, at last have the opportunity to become true knowers, just like the sages of old. Some 10,000 years ago, we are told, the first Patanjali, using the energies of the second and the fifth rays, codified for humanity the oral tradition of an infallible system of illumination called Raja Yoga, a system designed to produce a true knower, and at last, on a broad and planetary scale, the opportunity to become exactly that, the true knower. That opportunity has now arrived. Know, express, reveal, destroy, resurrect. We recognize these as the 5 keywords of the 5 initiations, but it all begins with know. In this unique time, we are poised to learn through the revelations of the fifth ray that there is naught but energy, for God is life. There is naught but energy, for God is life, as the fifth law of healing informs us. We are entering the age of energy, where God and energy will be appreciated as one. Here is a brilliant stanza from the old commentary, revealing the power of the fifth ray and its kinship with the first. You will sense this, I know. Ray 5. Let the 3 forms of energy electric pass upward to the place of power. Let the forces of the head and heart and all the nether aspects blend. Then let the soul look out upon an inner world of light divine. Let the word triumphant go forth. I mastered energy, for I am energy itself. The master and the mastered are but one. What is happening to make this possible? More possible now than ever before. Now for humanity. How did all this become possible? Long ago, not 18.5 million years ago, but some 21 million years ago, the planetary heart of our planetary logos began to awaken, and from the heart of the sun, and also from the central spiritual sun, the spirit nature, the monadic nature of our solar logos, our planetary logos invoked streams of solar angelic potency. The solar angels came forth in energy streams from the solar logos to our planetary logos, just as they do to every planetary logos when the time is right. And humanity, the bridging kingdom, meant one day to be the dispenser of buddhi, of intuition. Humanity was created. From the old commentary, and you will recognize the Sagittarian implications, the sons of God shot forth like arrows from the bow. The forms received the impulse, and lo, a God was born. The tiny babe knew not the great event. And so DK tells us it took 3 million years before the consciousness of individualization actually settled into the awareness of that tiny human being who was just coming into self-conscious awareness. Thus is individualization described in a treatise on white magic. Thus was the seed of knowing, the spark of mind, planted in the animal man of that time, the seed of light, which is now blossoming forth on a large scale as illumination in millions of the sons of men who are at last realizing that they are sons of God. Those sons of God who are applying for the first initiation of humanity, which will transform the members of the fourth kingdom of nature into members of the fifth. And that's what we are doing. As the great host of solar angels, Prometheus, even Lucifer, the light bringer, came to our planet after a period of lengthy training in the system of Sirius, and returned to our solar system, they came to our planet to lift and elevate. The nurturance of the human kingdom has proceeded for millions of years, 21 million years, and really longer if we take into consideration moon-chain humanity. The process of planting the spark of mind in animal man was a great experiment in consciousness, and that's a fifth-ray word. A great experiment in consciousness, necessitated for many reasons, but partially because our planetary logos had failed in his expression through the chain previous to ours, the moon chain, and now needed assistance because he had fallen so far behind the progress of his sister planet, Venus, with whom he should have kept pace. Our planetary logos in a masculine incarnation, Venus in a feminine incarnation at this time, both meant to be, at this time, of equal development and not of equal development. And many of us carry the impression of that failure deep in our psyches, because many of us participated in it. Most modern human beings who are intelligent and on the advanced wave of humanity have come from the moon chain, and they carry the impression of that failure. It is not only among human beings that relative failures are to be experienced. The solar angels applied themselves strenuously, experimentally again, to the raising of a humanity in which the factor of light could come to fruition, nor did they know whether or not they would succeed. Only in the later civilizations of Lemuria, we are told, did they realize that their experiment with the bestowal of reflective consciousness had been a success. The animal consciousness is not reflective. The type of consciousness bestowed by the solar angel is like a mirror, and it turns the outgoing consciousness back upon itself reflexively so that the center of consciousness is perceived as well as all that is within the field of consciousness. Reflective, reflexive consciousness. They labored, these angels, magically, to help the little one, the tiny unit of self-conscious light, not only to tread the path towards a likeness with them, but to become that very path itself. From the old commentary, the point of light shines forth. It waxes and it wanes. The point becomes a line through the starting of a vortex, and from the center of the whirling force there comes a voice invocative and clear. The one who sits in silent work, alone and unafraid, because the part is not alone and the group is unafraid, looks down, catches the light, reflects the whirling force, and hears the voice. Then from the silent point of power a word goes forth. Be still, be silent, know that I am God. The needed work will now begin. Between the Great One and the little striving one, communion is established. The interplay begins. The mind assumes its rightful place. The path is surely laid. So gradually, a communion with our supervising solar deity is established. As we are told at the beginning of the rules of white magic, the solar angel collects himself, scatters not his force, but in meditation deep communicates with his reflection. And this is the beginning of the magical redemptive process, which begins once the activation of the fifth petal of the egoic lotus has begun. And over the millions of years, the flowering of the tiny life, which is the tiny consciousness of new-made man, is made possible through the natural processes of evolution and eventually through the forced processes of initiation, which means, I think, very much to people such as ourselves who are treading the faster and more dangerous way. From the old commentary, the seed develops 5 flowers, and 5 only. One flower long precedes the others. The second flower is hard to grow. The third is harder still. The fourth flower dies, and dying gives forth light, and in that light, the fifth flower blooms. From Discipleship in the New Age, Volume 1, page 713. The nurturance of those who bestowed the light of mind upon the benighted consciousness of animal man, the truly loving and scientific servers of the fifth grade of hierarchy, makes possible the progress through the 3 halls of ignorance, of learning, and of wisdom. With the help of these solar lords, these Agnishvatas, these lords of the flame, and so many other wonderful names, we have trodden this way, and now stand where wisdom can truly begin to unfold. In the hall of ignorance, the triple sheaths are known. The solar life at its densest point is contacted, and man emerges fully human. Within the hall of learning, the central mystery is contacted. The method of release is seen. The law is well fulfilled, and man emerges well nigh adept. Within the hall of wisdom, light fully shines upon the adept's ways. He knows and sees the 7th part, and visions all the rest. He is himself a septonet, and from this hall emerges God. They, the luminous ones, the bestowers of the spark, have supervised our descent and our re-ascent. And we are all on the upward arc at this time, rapidly reascending, perhaps with 99% of our incarnations completed, maybe only another 30 to go, or less. The plunge is downward into matter. The point descends, darts through the watery sphere, and pierces into that which looms inert, immobile, darkling, silent, and remote. The point of fire and stone unite, and harmony and union on the downward path are reached. The flight is upward into spirit. The point ascends, lifting the two behind and reaching out the three and four towards that which lie behind the veil. The water fails to quench the point of fire. Thus fire meets fire and blends. Harmony, union on the upward arc are reached. Thus shall the sun move northward. Obviously symbolic language, but we can all tell what it is. It's the symbolism of the soul and the liberating soul upon the two methods of the arc. These angels, they are the builders of the causal body on the higher mental plane, the plane in which, says the old commentary, the lotus of love is floating. The lotus of love is floating. That lotus which at first floats upon the third subplane of the mental, and then as initiation is approached, upon the second subplane. Great are these holy beings, of whose reality humanity is just learning, and will learn far more during the Aquarian age. These entities, says the old commentary, who sacrifice themselves for the human hierarchy, and we must note here the accuracy of the fact that they emanate from the logoic head center, or from the will aspect, are the true saviors who give their lives for the good of the race. And this analogy is given. They stand in relation to the totality of the schemes, our planetary schemes, as the occult hierarchy of any particular planet stands to men upon that planet. High beings. During pralaya they are withdrawn, as all else, from manifestation, and return to a cosmic center of which the logoic head center is but a dim reflection. They return the richer for experience. And now we're talking about a return to the cosmic mental plane. And yes, you can turn on the air conditioning, it's just fine. We still have bodies after all. Their mission on behalf of our redemption and the fitting of humanity for angelic life, the fitting of humanity for angelic life, brings to them, these angels, the gain of spiritual light and potency. They gain, and because they do gain, they are not yet, says the Tibetan, full avatars. Not yet, because an avatar does not gain from the sphere to which he descends. Yet their service to us is immense. The old commentary tells us of the solar angels. The Deva shineth with added light when the virtue of the will hath entered. He garnereth color as the reaper garners wheat, and storeth it up for the feeding of the multitude. Over all this Deva host, the mystic goat presideth. Makara is, and is not, yet the link persisteth. And in a couple of days we will speak of the Makara hierarchy. Just a little warm-up for a few minutes in the morning. That's all it takes to discuss the Makara hierarchy. 15 minutes will do it, right? How great, then, is the spiritual science of these second-ray, fifth-ray beings who preside over our development, themselves monads, aiding the less experienced monads, which we are, until we rise in accomplishment to their feet, affecting their liberation at our fourth initiation. First the descent and then the liberation. It does take a certain amount of concentration, this old commentary, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Okay. When the spark is touched to the 4 wicks, and when spiritual fire in its threefold essence meets with that which is combustible, the flame bursts forth. Faint the flicker at the first appearing, and near to death it seems. But the wicks smolder and glow, and the heat is retained. This is the cycle, the first, and is called that of the glowing wheel. The flicker grows into a tiny flame, and the 4 wicks burn, but are not consumed, for the heat does not suffice. The light of these 3 fires is yet so small that the cave is not illumined. Nevertheless, the flame and the essential heat can be felt by the one who approaches and watches. This is the second cycle, and is called the warming wheel. The tiny flame becomes a lighted lamp. The fire flares up, but much smoke is there, and the wicks are burning fast, and the heat suffices for their quick destruction. The lamp, set in the midst of darkness, makes the thick blackness manifest itself. The light and the warmth are felt. This is the third cycle. It is called that of the lighted wheel. The 4 wicks and the flame appear as one, and nearly all the smoke is gone, for flame is mostly seen. The cave itself is lighted up, though the lamp is yet apparent. Cycle the 4th is called the hour of the flaming wheel. The final cycle comes when even the lamp itself is burned, destroyed through the intensity of heat. The one who watches, seeing the work accomplished, fans the central point of fire and produces a sudden flaming. The wicks are not, the flame is all. This, so the sacred science says, is called the cycle of the wheel consumed. 5 stages over which the solar angel supervises, at last gaining his liberation when the wheel is consumed. And that day for all of us will surely come when the freedom of the greater 5th will be well earned, and we, as monads, will step into our rightful heritage because the sacrificial solar lords have done their work. And we'll get the chance too, many of us, in the next solar system. The Lord of life himself sits at the heart and watches. The lords of solar fire pursue their task and sacrifice themselves to the lunar lords of all the lower planes. They die, but resurrect. They pass without and come again. Yet the Lord of life sits still. And this, of course, is the monad. Correct. The lunar lords begin to die. Their power begins to wane with each successive cycle. The solar lord shines forth in triumph and consign the 4-fold ones to fire, the fire which burns and dissipates the form. Many times the work repeats itself, the cycles wax and wane until the day triumphant when the solar lord acclaims himself and knows himself the ruler. The Lord of life then turns himself and arises in his might. He consumes the solar lords, and they perish as did the lunar lords. He speaks a word and fire descends. The blaze bursts forth. Gone is the lower fire through the flame of solar burning. Gone is the middle fire through the intensity of fire from heaven. Naught remaineth save a 3-fold flame of violet, indigo, and yellow. That disappears. Then darkness reigns, yet the Lord of life persists, though invisible. It's dramatic, it's wonderful, and it is destined. Cosmic Fire, page 820. And all of this affects our liberation from the lunar lords who constitute for us a temporary, necessary prison, and later even liberation from the solar lords. The solar angel must put out the light of the lunar angels, and then, for lack of warmth and light, that which has served to hinder no longer is. Destiny, because of the great and luminous fifth ray from the cosmic mental plane, represented by the solar angels who have emanated from a great, superior cosmic mental solar angel who provides the egoic lotus of the solar logos. It is amazing to think where these beings who reside within us to some small extent have come from. Under the guidance of the solar angel, we are taught over the ages to liberate that very angel and return to our essential nature. And now then, if we can encompass it, a most important stanza. You know, in Esoteric Psychology, Volume 2, there are 7 stanzas called the stanzas of the Blessed Ones. And those Blessed Ones are 7 types of monads. The monadic psychology is actually given early on in Esoteric Psychology, Volume 2. So this I read to some of the group that was attending during the astrology, and see if you can get into it, because it holds tremendous hints about how to penetrate into our true spirit nature. The Blessed One came forth in ignorance. He wandered in a darkness deep of spirit. He saw no reason for this way of life. He sought among the many threads there be that weave the outer garment of the Lord, and found the many ways there be, leading to the center of the web eternal. The forms that weave that web hide the divine reality. He lost himself. Fear entered in. He asked himself, another pattern must be woven, another garment formed. What shall I do? Shew me another way to weave. The word for him came forth in triple form. His mind responded to the vision clear evoked. The truth lies hidden in an unknown way. The angel of the presence guards that way. The mind reveals the angel and the door. Stand in that presence, lift up thine eyes, enter through that golden door. Thus will the angel, who is the shadow of the Blessed One, reveal the open door. That angel too must disappear. The Blessed One remains and passes through that door into the light sublime. And thus the Blessed One is confirmed as that which passes the angel and re-enters its monadic nature, the jiva sent forth. And so the disciple, infused by the angel, empowered by the angel, goes so far as to negate its power and find liberation even from his angel. I like these serpent images. Here's something to do these next few days. Let the disciples seize hold of the tail of the serpent of wisdom, and having with firmness grasped it, let him follow it into the deepest center of the hall of wisdom. Let him not be betrayed by the trap set for him by the serpent of illusion, but let him shut his eyes to the colorful tracery upon its back, and his ears to the melody of its voice. Let him discern the jewel set in the forehead of the serpent whose tail he holds, and by its radiance traverse the miry halls of Maya. It's grand language, grand language. The Tibetan, I just wonder if he didn't have an Elizabethan incarnation. Maketh, breaketh, taketh. He has the iambic, he has the poetry, and somehow from the ancient symbols he's managed to convey something which should last more than 25 years. Over these years, we have together discussed the confluence of cyclic opportunity. These times in which we live are extraordinary. We are living at the most important time of human history, it's been said several times during the days, when it shall be determined whether humanity can make the intended transition into the fifth kingdom of nature to be inaugurated during the age of Aquarius, or whether a great delay will come, perhaps of thousands of years, and Aquarius shall turn out to be the sign of universal death, as it could well become, with the reinitiation of humanity into the earth, as Tibetan warns in the Taurus chapter. We are presently, as it were, to experience the second coming of the solar angels. The second coming of the solar angels. The second coming of the Christ is in a way also the second coming of those who millions of years ago saw to the individualization of Earth humanity and later joined moon-chain humanity to speed their progress along. So it may well be that the reappearance of the Christ is inseparable from what I want to call the second coming of the solar angels. Surely, these angels of supreme intelligence compared to our own must be redoubling their efforts at this time, at the time of the approach of the great Lord, who is the great teacher of hierarchy. So let us expect a more intimate union with our sponsors and creators, the members of the fifth creative hierarchy of solar angels. Our task, in order to enter into an entirely new mode of spiritual livingness, is to acquire knowledge of the law and at last do what works. Very practical. This will involve also mundane Saturnian work, which to the mystical type may be distasteful. No mystics here, of course. But if we have distaste at doing the mundane, I think I'm talking to myself. Just imagine what these angels must pass through. Angels who long ago, trillions of years ago, in a previous solar system, were liberated from the dense physical plane of the Logos in one of his earlier incarnations. These angels now having to labor again in that dense physical body. They have to return for eons to the sphere from which they have long ago liberated themselves, laboring for the likes of us. That is sacrifice. And one day, many of us, the bulk of us, as the Tibetan, treading the path to Sirius, will have a similar opportunity, returning, I do believe, in the next and final sixth solar system. So get ready. A few trillion years here or there, hang in there. Through the powers of the Lord of the fifth ray, who rules the plane of soul, through the hosts of solar angels, the soul of humanity is in process of revelation. Now, this is a big thing. After millions of years of the exaltation of the lunar lords and the dominance of ancestral religions, humanity has been in the grip of the lunar lords, but not really in any broad scale knowing anything about the alternatives. But now, a new and scientific religion is coming in, in which the solar angels will replace the priests, the intermediaries between man and divinity, and the vast majority of human beings will come into tutelary contact with their own soul, their own solar angel, It is within you what you need, and the intermediary will no longer be needed. It will not be just hope and faith. It will be spiritual science. A true relationship will be established with the solar angels. The hierarchically sanctioned methods of establishing that relationship exist right now. But, do we have the caution, the precision to pursue the methods given? Do we have enough fifth ray, and we all have it, to work at this relationship scientifically? Can we use the fifth ray to do what is required? The inner technology for contacting these great beings who were once as we are now does exist. Will we use it in the Aquarian spirit? That's going to be up to us. It's a supreme and high science, and we have to approach things not just by faith, which is necessary, but through the true science of the soul. This second angelic coming, in which the solar angels establish in the consciousness of humanity their own reality, is very important for the future of humanity. Humanity has been kind of stumbling along, trying to improve its life, not knowing that the way in is already designed, that the methods do exist and have been tested. With scientific, spiritual occultism, there is no guessing. For us, there is still much guessing. But even 10,000 years ago, under the second and fifth rays, the Yoga Sutras did emerge, eliminating a lot of guessing. The era of guessing, of blundering, of stumbling is nearly over, and we need not wander in the dark in the same way. We can know, we can see. We need not merely believe. More anent that Sunday morning. Following the spiritual laws which have been given leads us to the science of the soul. In this science there is surety of method. There are predictable results, though the way will be trodden individually and many experiments will have to be undertaken. But there need not be the usual missteps. This is a wonderful statement, and it reminds us of where we went astray. The planetary logos of Venus loved the earth so well that he incarnated and gave it perfect laws, which were disregarded and rejected. From The Secret Doctrine, Volume 2, page 38. Well, who were the rejectors? Here we are. This need no longer be the case. Time and energy are saved, and the despair born of proud rebellion need not again be experienced. So how shall we pursue then our spiritual development? Shall it be by chance? Something lucky might happen. I don't think it's so advisable, though serendipities should always be noticed. Shall it happen through inspiration? Well, yes, once we've done our work, this will eventually be the case. Or should it be by method? Or should it be by method? Yes, this is the reliable way. This is the best way for us, by method. This is what Master DK, who trains aspirants for initiation, has given. He's given us the method. And what we need is given, and the rest is learning, understanding, and application. So, what is our method? Along the way is our method becoming a certain method? You know how it is, that word ascertain? It is a fifth ray word, and it means to really know, factually, without guessing, without improvising, what is actually taking place. Ascertainment. Traditionally, there is much uncertainty for us, and we need a guide. But within us, and infusing our consciousness, is a graduate human being, a son of mind, a perfect guide, the first master we encounter, a solar angel, virtually omniscient from the standpoint of the human being. So getting the sense of this inner being and abiding by what the inner being knows And I say knows is our task. It has traveled the full range of human evolution. It has gone through every human experience, even more than the masters. And many of us, and this is kind of a chilling thought, should even now be solar angels. There are the tried and tested means of entering the kingdom of God, and these means are in the possession of the solar angels, who are, for us, the omniscient ones. This is our task, under the fifth creative hierarchy, to enter the fifth kingdom of nature. The solar angels bring a higher illumination. They are experts. They are experts in the art of overcoming and redeeming the elementals. The science of the soul is already known by the solar angels, the graduates of a former time. The method is sure. It has been tested. For us, what they know is a hypothesis, for them, proven fact. We have to make factual that which the solar angels know. Something of what they know has been given to us as the laws of the soul. So how shall we uncover, discover what the soul is? What has been felt intuitively but cannot be proven in a manner acceptable to those who have not developed the higher faculties? How should we proceed? For one thing, let us apply ourselves to developing the higher faculties. DK says we can do it. Patanjali says we can do it. This may take a few lifetimes, but beginnings can be made. For another, let us proceed carefully, nonetheless with daring. You know the old saying, fools rush in, where angels fear to tread, and after a while with occultism you don't rush in anymore. A little more daring, but caution. Keep the mind sharp, for the mind can liberate into the real. It need not be an insurmountable slayer of the real. The mind can be like a thorn. Take that thorn with another thorn, pry it loose and throw them both away, says Ramakrishna. And let us learn from those who can do these things even now to test them through research, study the higher light. In sum, a new relationship with the solar angels is in the offing. A second coming is occurring. A new creative hierarchy on the horizon as we enter a new kingdom of nature. A new ray to bring into expression in its higher sense, not just the lower fifth ray with which we become so disillusioned because of its skepticism, but a higher fifth ray under Venus, under the angels, under the Lord of the fifth ray. A great transmutation is occurring through the magical blending of the fifth and seventh rays, the animal in us defeated and yet redeemed, the liberation of humanity from onerous toil, and the coming development of its true nature, symbolized by the upward pointing five-pointed star. The liberation of humanity, the leisure of humanity to pursue the things that really matter, a new civilization coming if we can be rational and, more important, supra-rational, which means intuitive and use the transcendental mind. I will close with this wonderful quote that I offered the other day in a meditation, and it's from Tibetan Yoga and Secret Doctrines, and Alice Bailey quoted it maybe 6 times, wrote it out in her books. So she must have liked it quite a bit. All beauty, all goodness, all that makes for the eradication of sorrow and ignorance upon earth must be devoted to the one consummation. Then, when the lords of compassion shall have spiritually civilized the earth and made of it a heaven, there will be revealed to the pilgrims the endless path which reaches to the heart of the universe. Man, then no longer man, will transcend nature, and impersonally, yet consciously, in at-one-ment with all the enlightened ones, help to fulfill the law of the higher evolution, of which nirvana is but the beginning. you. Okay.